All right, everybody, welcome back to the best hour of their day. Fern here. I am here with a longtime friend, Mr. Judd Dean, better known as JD. He's up in Delaware, CrossFit First State. I was trying to think the other day, I know where we met, but I'm trying to remember what year that was. It was at the Mid-Atlantic Hopper Challenge.
Yes.
But I don't remember what year that was.
Oh. It had to be one of their first years even doing it.
It was like 11.
Probably
11 or 10 maybe.
It might have been 10.
It was a long time ago. It was at CrossFit BWI. I was at that spot right by the airport. I remember that. Yeah, so that's where JD and I met, and we just kind of always kept in touch, via the interwebs. And JD's a super sharp dude. So some of the things we're going to talk about today. Recently had a Masters athlete go to the games, which I think is a significant ordeal. You know, JD's really, really sharp dude when it comes to programming. Also owns an affiliate, obviously, and then has done a lot of work with people for, bodybuilding competitions and a lot of stuff. So sharp on the nutrition aspect. And then I really am excited to dive into some aspects of what JD's done with his gym, which has kind of changed a little bit of the model and what he's doing as far as switching from everything being brick and mortar based. But dude, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, so I appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely, man. We had a little fun family day this morning at the beach. Did a little body surfing, playing with the little guy and the wife, and then had some calls with some online clients, and then chatting with you now, man.
That's the life, bro. That's the life. So let's start with another interesting fact about we always met, but also we didn't go to prep school together, but JD was at the Naval Academy Prep School. You were there a year before.
A year after you. A year after, I think. I was there in 2000, graduated 2001. Got
it. So for those of you who don't know, JD will not mind me saying this, for the most part, NAPS is the Naval Academy Prep School, which is generally for athletes who are not intelligent enough to go directly into the Naval Academy.
Absolutely. It's our red shirt year, right?
Yeah, it's a red shirt year, but you can play sports. But JD's a football player, incredible athlete in his own right. And but I don't think I knew that until like way after we had met.
Yeah, it was a good bit after that we finally figured that out through Jess. I think was how we ended up figuring that out. Jess and Aaron, I think her friend Aaron.
Either that, or we might have been both commenting on maybe one of Kyle Eckel's rants.
Probably.
And then I was like, wait a second. So Kyle Eckel, who oddly enough was in my company at the Naval Academy, had, I don't know, probably one of the most glorious short-term NFL careers of all time, where like he played 4 years. He played for the Eagles, the Saints, and the Patriots, and won 2 Super Bowls. And every year he was in the NFL, he played in a conference championship.
Yes, every single year.
He was a mess at the Naval Academy, by the way. But
he was a mess at NAPS.
super, super good dude. But anyway, how long have you had First State?
2008. So since 2008.
Damn. Are you going to the affiliate gathering?
Right now we're not. Just a little personal battle we're going through. My wife just got diagnosed with 2 tumors on her pituitary gland.
Oh no.
Actually diagnosed 2 days ago. So we're kind of in flux in terms of what we're going to be able to do in terms of our travel. And right now our number one goal is just getting her healthy and build up.
As it should be. Well, my best goes to all of you guys as you go through that. That's no bueno. Okay, so longer than me, because I'm right at 10. So talk to me a little bit about the evolution. So right now you're doing some things, but like, what's your story as far as like getting into CrossFit?
So I actually had a guy lifeguarded with down here in Bethany, and he ended up going to Buds. So we were training together to try to go to Navy and go Buds. And he got in, was there. He's an officer in the SEALs now. And while he was out there, they ended up getting into the CrossFit. That was when they were doing the CrossFit stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking like 2005, 2006.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. When they were kind of having those guys go and learn. So he messaged me and said, dude, I want you to try this workout. And your standard Fran, right? So he's like, try this, tell me what you get. So I did it, told him what I got. He's like, yeah, I just had a chick out here that did it in 3 minutes. I was like, what? Like, how's that even? It was like 9 something. I was like proud of myself. He's like, I think you need to start training this way. So I was doing personal training at the time at just a regular box gym, Globo gym. And so I looked into it, ended up going to get my level 1, started kind of utilizing and implementing CrossFit style stuff with my personal training clients. And then from there, it was like, all right, we're going to open our own. So I opened up my own.
That's awesome. And then, how many locations have you guys been in? Just one?
We've moved once. So we had our first space was about 1,200 square feet. We called it Old Blue. It had these hideous, like bright blue walls. It was awful. And then from there, we moved out of there. Now we're in about a 4,000 square foot space. We have a fenced in area out back with a pull-up rig outside.
That's my dream. That's my dream, is like have an outside, like old school, just like jail time,
Yeah, exactly. So they call it the yard. My wife's dad came in and put outdoor lighting, so at night we can turn on the lights. So it's pretty rad looking in the fall and springtime. It's pretty well used. People want to go out there.
Were you the first affiliate in Delaware?
The second.
Who was first?
CrossFit Dover, George Dobbins.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. So long-time affiliate owner, and then, had an athletic background, personal training. I got some questions about some of the stuff, that you learned from the Globo Gym. But first I want to talk about a little bit about, so you do a lot of personal training, and then this year you had Paul, who was your master's athlete, who went to the games. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Is that his first trip to the games?
No, he made the games last year in the 55 to 59 as a 59-year-old. We also had 5 people in the top 50 in the qualifier, but only Paul made games. That cut to 10, man, that's a game changer in terms of people in.
So you had 5 athletes in the top 50 in that 55 to 59 range?
No, in the overall Masters.
In Masters in general.
Masters in general, yeah.
That's pretty legit.
We got them. This year I think we'll get to 7. We signed 2 new guys that started right after the Open last year who are going to be in really good spots to make it this year. One in the 50 and over, and another in the 40 and over. The 50 and over has a legit chance to make it and do really well.
I might hit you up when I make 40.
All right.
I did, this. Well, with regard to Paul, like that's impressive because most people statistically, you don't necessarily age out of that group, but like for the most part, everybody that's showing up to the games is in that first 2 or 3 year window.
Exactly.
55 to 59, it's like 55, 56.
Yep.
You basically have to wait a couple years. Yeah.
So he was 59. Our goal was to make it just to get the experience. We weren't expecting as a 59-year-old to go out there and do it all. It was only his second competition he'd ever done. Was the CrossFit Games as the 59. So he had some mental hiccups and mistakes, kind of forgot some things, got super excited, the kind of the adrenaline dump where you go out real hot. So we kind of spent this last year learning pacing and kind of training within getting him warmed up and ready, and then having him wait 5 to 10 minutes to start, because that was a huge kind of shock to his system. Once he got out there, when you're 59, you get hot, and you're 60, you get ready to work, and then you have to sit in the paddock and kind of wait.
Yeah.
Then he would come out and he was like, dude, I was all messed up in a disaster. So we kind of trained all year preparing for that kind of wait period. And he did much, much better this year. I mean, his pacing was perfect. He was super calm. And that's the biggest thing, is just getting touches. So he'll do Wadapalooza this year because he gets the automatic berth.
Yep.
And then we'll try to qualify to get back to games again this year.
So your training sessions were largely targeted around a little bit of an assumption that he would qualify, and then so you guys are basically designing the training sessions like the games, where you're going to get warmed up and then you're going to wait.
Yes, exactly. Make it as much like game day as possible. I read a really great book on Georges St. Pierre, and he utilizes that through his training camps. He would actually go out, warm up, go out to the cage, and then walk around kind of waiting, for the music to stop, and then the next guy to come out to fight. And that delay, and then he would go into his training. So we kind of utilize that principle of get warmed up, get ready, and then chill, wait, stay calm, stay kind of mobile just enough within your little paddock area space so that he could still show his optimal performance out there.
And then how did he fare at the games?
At games, we won. So he won the 60 and over.
Dude, that's legit.
Yeah, so he won 60 and over this year. Going into the last event, we were in 3rd, but we were very confident with what those events were. Stud muscle up guy, engine, and having those 3 back-to-back events is very much like we train within our own sessions. We do something, rest 2 minutes, do something, rest 10 minutes, do something. So it very much mimicked what we've been training for. So he went out there and I think he got 3rd, 1st, 2nd in that little three-headed monster at the end and won.
And that scoring, the way they did it and they changed the scoring like that, I think it's great because it allows for some massive shifts like there at the
Absolutely.
end. Like you can't, I'm not going to say it's impossible to run away because Tia kind of did it, but it makes it much harder to just run away with the event.
Oh, absolutely. When I talked to him before that final event, he played baseball and was a really good baseball player. I said, dude, you got in at bat in the ninth inning. That's all you can ask for. We have an at bat. Like, let's go swing.
Yeah.
And went for it and snuck it out, man.
That's awesome. Yep. Just got to put it in play, dude. Just got to put it in play. Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about his training and what that looks like. So obviously, you know, you and I are definitely not old, but, you know, we are, you know, pushing the 40 range. And how does that training, or how do you approach that? Because do you only kind of specialize in masters athletes?
No, we have a couple of young guys. I had 2 this year do the Italian Showdown, a guy and a girl. They both got 20th.
Okay.
So we have some younger guys, but those are the 2 kind of best. We have last time they did regionals, we had 2 guys make regionals in the Mid-Atlantic. So we have a couple young ones.
Cool.
But for the most part, a lot of them are the masters guys. I mean, it's hard to say, but when you look at this world of CrossFit, the masters have the money to pay, man. And
that's a good point.
the masters have the money to pay. You have a 22-year-old that's just finishing college, and you're like, hey, man, I need you to pay me $265 for me to coach you online. And they look at you and are like, yeah, I can't. Like, I can't do it for free.
Yeah.
You know, this is how I put food on the table and provide for my family. So the masters athletes have the money to do it. They have the time. I mean, you get like Paul, somebody who owns his own business. A lot of the other guys I train are lawyers, businessmen. They have the ability to pull away from their business now because they're so established, and they have the time to make sure they get, you know, body treatments. They have the time to make sure they get their morning aerobic work in. They have time to make sure they're getting good sleep. A 22-year-old, they're all over the place, man. And it's an expensive sport at that age because there's food, there's the ability to train, they have the hours to train. It's hard for a 22, 23-year-old guy or girl to be able to afford to pay for a top-end coach.
Unless they just live in their affiliate, you know, and they're
exactly,
you know, but
yes,
that's a good discussion about trying to find or establish your target market. You know, I think that's something that I've learned, you know, kind of the hard way over the years is from an affiliate standpoint. Like, we live obviously in an incredibly heavily populated, like, military federal employee area, and you know, a lot of people have asked how much of our gym consists of military, and what I would tell everybody is that number has gone down year over year, and I was in the military. It has nothing to do with in the military, but that's an incredibly transient population.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't. A lot of them are like the younger enlisted guys who don't have an incredible amount of disposable income. And it's not that you don't want to train those guys, but from a business standpoint, like, just like you mentioned, they can be a little wishy-washy. You know, they're not consistent when they train. The financial funds are all over the place, and we'll help them and we'll train the shit out of them when they come in. But the ones that are my most consistent are, you know, that probably 35 to 40 range. And they're like, I just want to be healthy. And they're not looking for anything crazy. They're very coachable and compliant. And they're the most fun.
Absolutely. You get down into the younger age CrossFitter that wants to be really top end, and to a great degree, you end up kind of compromising your brand because they want to be able to come in when they want to come in. They want to be able to do the workout. Then you end up not having a set community that's all aligned with doing the same thing, and that we're trying to get to the same place. Relative to those goals will be different, but you kind of have to be very authentic and very consistent in how you approach people. And when you have that 20 to 25-year-old that just kind of wants to free-for-all it throws everything out of alignment, out of whack.
Yeah. I found that they either has to be a little bit more mature, or they have to come from some sort of pretty high level athletic background where they understand the value of structure and be like, this is the program, this is how practice works, this is what we're going to do.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're the program hoppers, and they're like, well, I saw this and I do that, and this person did that the other day, I'm going to do it. I'm like, that's not in the program. Like, knock it off.
Exactly. And that ends up making they understand, well, I worked with Judd and he didn't help me. Well, you didn't actually work with me. You did, you know, comp train along with what I was telling you, along with a hero wad you threw in there randomly. So it ends up sacrificing your brand and not helping it. So you have to really make sure that's aligned, you know, and that they're kind of in your process of going through to make sure they're a good client for you to work with, right? Take the time to do that. You're not going to be known for the jobs you say yes to as much as the jobs you say no to sometimes.
That's a good point. I'm learning that the hard way. It's like,
Yeah, it's very hard.
Say no more often.
Yeah, you have to say no more often. If it doesn't line up, I just had to message somebody online that was reaching out to me to be an online client. It's not like I don't need the money. I mean, I would love, but it wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't going to be a good fit. So I gotta say no sometimes.
What does that training regimen look like for your masters athletes, as far as like some of the older guys? Let's go 40 plus. Like volume, frequency. Are there things you're avoiding, or are there things you're doing more of? And I'm sure it's obviously athlete dependent, but like in general, what does that look like?
Absolutely athlete dependent. But as we've seen the CrossFit Open, especially now, it's a game of the Open and it's a game of the qualifier. And we don't get heavy very often in CrossFit anymore. I mean, it's why study for 5% of the test, right? Doesn't make any sense.
Not till the big show. Not
till you're there. You got to get at a place at a table before you can take anybody's food, right? So you got to get that seat first. So we're very engine focused, very much pacing focused. I mean, it's a sport that's rewarding the pacer. You have to know how to pace. You got to be able to get on the rower. Like, people talk about like, well, what did Paul do? I'm like, if Paul sat on a rower and rode intervals over and over and over until he could close his eyes, and I could say, I want you to row me a 145 with your eyes closed. And you could hit a 145, 500, open your eyes, rest 2 minutes, hit me in a 145 again, eyes closed. And you could hit it over and over and over. And I'd say, I want you to hit a 150, close your eyes. You can hit a 150. So when you can get to where you can do that, you're going to be really scary in CrossFit, because you're going to be able to feel what your engine feels like. I mean, that's what made you good at it. Your engine was good. You could get done a workout and be like, I could have done another round a little faster at that same pace. When you can't do that and you're the guy flopping on the ground at the end, you have no chance of winning this thing.
It's interesting you brought that up, because I've done things like that. So I've trained people for, marathons and triathlons, and then quite a few guys for like different selection programs in the military. And that's one of the things. And that's one of the things that I'll do with when they run is we'll do a lot of interval training, and I've learned a lot of stuff from Henshaw. And but one of the things I'll do is I'll throw in things like that where the pacing runs are without a watch.
Yeah.
So they start and they leave their watch there and they take off on that run, whether it's on a track or whatever. And then they're going to gauge it at the end and be like, and they'll step off. And same thing. I want them to step off, and I want them to know, hey, this is a 6:35 mile pace. I don't want you to have to think about it. I just want you to know immediately, because that allows them to dial it up or dial it back, not chase that rabbit who's running a 5:45 who's going to blow up 800 meters.
Yeah.
And a lot of them really struggle with that. And they're like, how am I going to know? And I'm like, we're going to do it by feel. This is going to make you so supremely confident on game day that you're not going to have to worry about any of that shit.
Absolutely. You have to be able to feel it. And once you can feel it, you can almost have this superpower where you can see into the future to see, what am I going to feel like at minute 14 of this 18-minute end rep? And you'll be able to feel that at minute 4 and go, this is too hot, and dial back enough so that you keep that pace through the workout, as opposed to being 4 minutes in, like, I can hold this, and boom, you're dead at minute 9 and you got 6 or 7 minutes to go.
Or you get to the end and you feel good and you're like, I definitely have enough to hammer this thing for the last like 50 reps, and I feel comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. It's all learning. It's so much repetition of learning, and not just what's my score today? What's my score today? It's walking away with a feel. And we use the True Coach app for all of our personalized guys. So I tell them, like, I don't just want your score. You can't just write your score for me. You have to write how you felt at the beginning of the workout, how you felt during the workout, how you felt after the workout, how your recovery was. Could you have gone faster, slower? Like, so all that intel matters so much in terms of how I'm trying to program for the next workout, and our conversation and dialogue to improve them.
One of the things we're getting ready to implement at the gym, not because it's cool or whatever, is adding heart rate monitors. So like Waterpod has that function in there. But one of the things so it's not about like, ooh, look at my heart rate. Like,
it's not a splat point.
Right. Yeah. It is. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We are going to educate everybody. And so I've already done some videos to kind of like let people know why we're doing it. But one of the things, there's a massive misconception about heart rate. And they're like, ooh, I worked at this heart rate, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, absent of any other information, it doesn't tell me whether that was like how long you worked, what was that a good decision. And it's like, if you do a 3-minute Fran and you are at a heart rate of 140, and then you do a 3-minute Fran at a heart rate of 130, you're fitter. Most people wouldn't think that, but like because like I didn't go any faster, I'm like, but biologically you expended less energy to do this.
Absolutely.
Right. So getting people to it have that visual so that I can have a more concrete conversation about, like, you see your heart rate at 180, that is sustainable for like another 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So stop doing that.
Yeah. And we look at CrossFit, if we get the top end guys, the Wadapaloozas, the games, it's multiple events. So if I'm doing that frame at 3 and my heart rate was 10, 15, that's huge when event 7 comes up. Exactly. Right? If I do that over all those events, event 7, look at Matt, right? Went into the last day and then boom, boom, win. Thank you for playing. I'll take my first again. And
I'll tell you what, I've seen him and Rich. I judged Matt on the very last event this year, and I've seen him and Rich both up close and personal at that level. And I am a firm believer that they win for two main reasons. Obviously, it's all the training in the background and what they've done to lead up to that. But they both move very well, and they both pace better than anybody.
Yeah.
They very rarely look physically or psychologically stressed. This year was the only year I've ever seen Matt, since he's won, look like he was working really hard. And that's because he had to, because it came down to the
end. Yep. Those top guys, it's almost, there's like a different gene that like is a self-regulation gene that lets them work just below threshold and win. And they can do it over, if you had it another day, you'd win again. If you got it another day, they would just keep winning because they're able to operate with that threshold point is just below. Where for you and I to keep up with them, like I did the comp down at your place the one year and was second to Ben going to the last event, right? I was right behind like all 3 events that we had. And then the last event, he obliterated me. Why? Because for me to be that close to him for the other 3 events, I was beyond red line and almost killing myself, but he was just chilling.
Yep.
I was like, there's a different component that he has that I don't have. And there's no training. There's no different training I could do. He had the ability to self-regulate way better than I could self-regulate.
So obviously pacing is a big part of what you guys do. And that obviously involves a lot of interval work, but what is, and from a standpoint of volume, like as athletes begin to age out or age up, what are you looking at with regard to volume on those athletes?
So what I'm looking at is volume, intensity, and frequency, those 3 things. And with the masters guys, especially as they age or if there's any type of injury, I don't ever want to have more than 2 of those things high. So if my volume's high, my intensity can be high, but my frequency can't be. So I got to have more rest days. If I'm giving them a lot of frequency, I got to have, maybe I give them high frequency and high intensity, but like really low volume. So those are kind of the 3 pieces that I'm going to try to balance and make sure I never have all 3 of those high. And that was kind of, I learned that myself as I tried to try and keep up with those guys. And I was getting older. I'm like, I can keep up 1 more year. I elevated all 3. And what the end result was my body broke down. So that was kind of something I learned on my own, that I need to make sure with these guys as their agent, I'm being really smart in which one of these pieces I elevate and what piece I lower down. And you have to have the conversation with them so they're not like, dude, I'm really not working out that much. Yeah, you're working out. You're not working out as much, but we're going really, really hard right now. And we're going really, really often, right? So you kind of have that conversation and work that out. Those 3.
That's something that we've, not just like with individual athletes, but like over the years, and we've gotten a little bit better at it, is getting people to buy into the program. So kind of what we were talking about before, which is people, I mean, and you were the same as we were probably back in the day, which is like, what's tomorrow's workout? And you're like, you'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Check the website at 9 p.m. And it's like, just tell them what it is. But also what we've gotten a little bit better at over the years, we now put out like a programming overview for the month and kind of explain the why. Like people want to know the why.
Oh, absolutely. It has to align with why they're doing this in the first place, right? Like, why am I going to do CrossFit? Why am I going to do this workout? If it's just random, doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work. Like if you did truly randomized programming and you did a 10K run tomorrow and they knew there was a 10K run coming, not too many people are coming. If you did the old school, 7 sets of 1, you'll have the guys that really like lifting and the guys that don't like lifting won't come. So we need to understand why we're doing what we're doing and make sure we have something that can get everyone to their reason of why they're doing this in the first place and explain what that is. That's why we're the professionals. They're not professionals. They have no idea. A lot of them are just cortisol junkies after a while and they just want a really hard, intense workout and feel dead on the floor. But they don't realize what that's doing long-term to them. They don't realize if that's good for them or bad for them. If that aligns with why they're doing this in the first place. Like these are conversations that kind of have to take place. And a lot of times boxers are so excited that they got a new person in the door. They never talk to the person. They're just like on ramp and go. And then you wonder why the person didn't stay around for 10 or 12 years. I mean, I have people I've been training for 15 years because we've always aligned why they're doing what they're doing. So they're excited about still coming to the gym and still getting better. I mean, we have a lady that's 83 that went on a hiking trip with her family and was able to go up to the top of the mountain with her grandkids. And she's 83 years old. She still deadlifts. She can jump rope, but she understands why she's doing what she's doing. And she'll be able to be solo, until she's in her 90s, still being able to take care of herself. That's awesome stuff, man. But what's her why? Why is she doing what she's doing?
And that's what it's about from a coach and affiliate standpoint, is like, that is what more people, and I think the community is shifting back to that now. But like, that's what everybody should want. Like, you should want, like, if I walk into the gym and see that lady, like, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Like, I'm like ready to coach. I'm like, all right, Barbo, like, let's do it. Like, let's make it happen. With regard to that communication, what does that frequency of communication look like with your athletes? Well, I'll ask it in two different lights. So with your individual athletes, and then do you do something similar within the affiliate?
Yeah, within the affiliate, we always have monthly meetings. So we set it up as monthly meetings that are 15 to 20 minutes long. You sign up, at the front of the box for each month of when you're going to sit and talk with one of us. Either talk with myself or my wife Jenna. Certain clients really like to talk to her. Certain clients want to talk to me. It kind of depends on if you want the hard love or if you want a little bit more coaxing love on who you're going to sign up with. And sometimes she'll go, I'm not getting through to, this person. I want you to do the meeting or be at the meeting with me. And then with our online people, we do it bi-weekly. So we talk to them just because we don't get to see them just for small talk, with your people at the gym. They're coming in, and while they're warming up, they might express something to you, like that's something that's going on tough at work or something that's happening with the family. So we get a little more in person. We get to see you more and talk to you more, but online we don't get that as much. So we do a bi-weekly 15 to 20 minute call. That's what I was doing before we met, is to just kind of realign, make sure we're all on the same page, how their life's going, what roadblocks might be coming up, and kind of make sure we're still all on the same page and why we're doing what we're doing.
So at the affiliate does that mean you guys are sitting down with your entire client base every month?
Yep.
We started doing, we're not even that good, so I feel like a chump now, but so what we switched to a couple months ago is like, we're getting at least 2 to 3 touch points, like outside of the gym. So whether it's like email, phone call, text, just to check in. Yeah. It's all retention based, but like, we genuinely want to know like what's going on in their lives. Like, why haven't I seen you in a week? What's going on? And this person, decides to disclose that they're dealing with a massive amount of depression. I'm like, okay, like, how can we help you deal with that?
Yes.
But if I just be like, well, I haven't seen so-and-so in a while, whatever, I'm not gonna be able to help that person.
Absolutely. And then that's someone you're not going to keep you could keep that person for 10 or 15 years. Why keep trying to hunt for new clients? Keep the ones you have. And that person that you reach out to and figure out like the massive depression they're dealing with, you don't think they're going to tell their friends, like, from Jason, I'm getting more than fitness. Yes. Like, your client needs to leave your gym and say, that place gives me more than fitness. That place gives me more than a workout. Because they can find a workout on Pinterest. Yeah. Right? And we can teach great movement, but they need to leave, like, what I'm doing within this little hour of my day, like you said, the best hour of their day, is having a trickle effect into the other 23 hours, into my relationship at work, my relationships with my kids. That's the main goal of what we're doing. If we're not doing that, we're really just kind of going through the motions. We're no different than Planet Fitness. We might as well give you a Tootsie Roll when you come in. Yeah. So for any affiliate owner or coach, like, start with trying to get a certain number a month and then figure out how to scale that out is what I would tell you. But like, figure out how to, and even if it's just start, baby steps, if it's just texting everybody in the gym once a month, you got a frequency, and then try to figure out how to do those sit downs. But what have you guys found to be effective with regard to what is the anatomy of a successful sit down look like with a member? The biggest thing we usually do is we usually start out asking how their meal plan's going, how their food. My degree is in nutrition and dietetics, so almost everyone we have is on some type of food protocol, right? Some type of food prescription. Some people do macros. Some people we give an exact food plan for. Some people are doing something like how's your water intake, right? So it kind of all depends on what their goals are, on what we're going to be talking about. So we'll have some takeaway points from our meeting before, and then we're going to get into like, what roadblocks do you see coming up in the next month? Because that's the biggest thing we have to navigate. That's our biggest point that we can help. If they don't come in the gym, we can't help you. Yeah. If I can't help you. So we need to figure out what roadblocks are coming to make sure we get to see you, or that when you're doing your program online, that I'm making sure you have workouts that can help you when you're away at this meeting. To make sure we stay on track, we're still getting positive hormone responses, we're staying in a good sleep pattern. So those meetings are going to be, first we're going to talk about your food, because that's our 80% game, right? If I'm not eating well, then I'm not sleeping well. If I'm not sleeping well, I'm not going to want to go to the gym. I'm going to hit snooze the next morning and not come to the 5:30 class. So we're going to talk about your food first, whatever that looks like for you and your goals. Then we'll talk about your roadblocks. And then I always want to talk about goals you've reached in the last month and goals you have looking forward to 3, 6, and 12 months out.
I like it. From an affiliate standpoint and a business standpoint, are your nutrition services and your memberships wrapped in one, or are those separate? Or like for somebody who's a gym owner who's looking at this and be like, I would like to do that, because that's every affiliate owner's like perfect dream, is that I got a group of people that want to train and who are down on nutrition. Mm-hmm. So how have you guys done that effectively?
So now everything's kind of a one-stop shop. There's an old story of 3 blind men trying to explain what an elephant looks like. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. You ever heard this story?
I have, but I would butcher it if I tried to tell it.
Okay. So for you guys listening in on this, there's an old story of 3 blind men trying to explain what an elephant looks like. So one guy puts his arms around the leg and he goes, an elephant looks thick and big like a tree. Another blind guy grabs the trunk and he goes, no, an elephant's skinny and long like a snake. The other guy rubs the ear and says, no, it's thin and flat and really soft. If I don't have all the pictures, I have no idea how I can help you. I need all 3. I need your lifestyle, I need your food, and I need your workouts. If I don't have all 3, I can't tell you what if it's an elephant. I can't help. So I want to control as much as I can control. So we used to do meal plans were separate, our lifestyle coaching was separate, and our workouts were separate. Now you have to get all 3 or we're not going to work with it. We want to control as much as we can control so we can really, really help you.
So you don't even have an option that's just like, I just want to train.
Yep, you don't have an option.
I like it.
And that's why we talk about like our brand, right? If I have this guy who's getting his food, his lifestyle, and his training, and I'm controlling all that, and he's getting awesome results, and you're like, no, I just want to train. And you're not recovering, you're not sleeping, you're not getting hurt. Then you leave and go, I got hurt. Well, you got hurt because you were eating inflammatory foods, you weren't sleeping. I didn't know any of this, and I was giving you hard workouts.
So now I'm going to ask a lot more practical questions about this, because I can think of like all the objections to this from an affiliate standpoint. When did you guys make the shift on that?
The other gym we had, we probably almost had 100 people, I would say, at the gym, 120 members.
Okay.
And like standard CrossFit kind of is what it is. A group of guys that have been there for a couple of years were like, we know everything we need to know. We're going to go open one a quarter mile down the road, and we're going to reach out to the people that currently go there, offer a little less, and the standard kind of CrossFit.
Yeah, there's only 2 stories, and that's one.
Yeah, so it happens. It is what it is. So we kind of realized I can't compete with what they're doing. What they're doing isn't what I do. So we're going to kind of change this model around. Instead of trying to be like, we'll just keep cutting the price, we're going to say, we're doing something very unique and very specific. And if you want these things, you'll come to us. If you just want to work out, that's great. More power to you. There's another place that you can go that will offer you that. But that's not what we're going to do. And now they're doing very well. We're doing very well. And it's a perfect situation. The people that know, like, hey, I want to try to get really good at this. I want to drop 50 pounds. I want to get off my diabetes. They know you come here, I'm going to give you all of the tools to do that. There, you're going to have, fitness and fun and have a good time. And that's great too. And that's perfect for some people, but that's not what we do.
It's an interesting just thought experiment, because that's always the question is, as CrossFit evolves and there's more gyms, like, well, how do I separate myself from everybody else? And some of that might be with just the services where like, we only do it this way.
Yes, exactly.
There's only one thing we offer, and this is the package. If you don't want that, then that's fine. No harm, no foul. But those are the people that we work with. And I can only imagine that your retention is incredibly high because of it.
It's excessively high. I mean, we have people 10 years, 15 years, 5 years. We don't get a lot of new people, but everyone we have. And now we're starting to reach out and expanding our online portfolio through people knowing what we offer and seeing the results that people are getting because I'm controlling all 3 of those aspects. We're having these meetings. we're keeping you aligned with your goals. So that's kind of the niche that we've kind of dug out in what we're doing. It's different, and you have to be willing to charge more to do that and be okay with, I think since we made this switch, we probably had 10 or 15 people leave and go to the other gym, but that's okay, right? What we offer isn't what you want, and that's totally okay. I don't care if somebody does Zumba. I don't care if they do CrossFit at another gym. I don't care if they do Pilates, yoga. If you're doing something that's aligned with what your goals are, that's awesome. Clearly, I'm going to think what I offer is superior to everyone else, and if I didn't think that, I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, and this is a personal question, because I feel like every entrepreneur, business owner, gym owner kind of goes through, not just personally, but within the staff as well. And I don't know how big your staff is, but that moment when you kind of go through this self-realization of self-worth and you're like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at what I do, which means I should be nowhere close to this person down the street, right? If I have, for you, if this is my degree in nutrition dietetics, and this is my training background, and this is my experience, and this guy down here has arbitrarily, whatever certifications or certificates that they have that are nowhere close, I still would have a problem because I'm afraid of the market.
Yeah.
So, how did that process look for you? I mean, I know what it looked like for me. And one day I was just like, I'm over it. Like, we're better, so we're just going to be better.
Yeah. And it was for a year, I dropped our prices drastically, and it didn't work at all. It was terrible. I was getting the people that would come in and join for a month and leave, or 2 months and leave, or come sporadically here and there, and then they signed a year contract and then they wanted out of the year contract. So it's like, this is not working very well. And my wife has been a huge support system to this. She finally went, you're worth more than this. You're worth more than this. So I had to be okay with watching our membership number on my, we use Zen Planner, watching that little thing go down, 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 down. And as I'm panicking, it's going down. She's like, you're missing the number at the bottom that's income per client, going up, 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 up. To now, since we made this switch, we've quadrupled our income on a monthly basis.
I don't doubt that at all.
And the gym, it's crowded enough, but there's enough space for everyone to be able to do what they need to do. The energy is great because everyone is excited to come in and do their workout. The people that stayed that do group totally understand. They come in, they do their workout, they're happy. So we have a great dichotomy and mixture of what's going on there. Everyone's really aligned with what we're doing.
That's really cool. So that's actually what I want to kind of pivot to a little bit, is because you've switched the model a little bit, which I think is smart with context, right? I think it's smart if you're good.
Yeah.
Not smart if you're not good. Which is like, you still run group classes, but you have a lot of personalized programming within your gym as well as online clients.
Yes.
How did that evolution come about for you, like as a coach / business owner?
So our group people, we ended up sitting down, we decided to make this switch. We had a meeting with everyone in group. And at the time we had about 6 or 7 people just doing the personalized, and they saw the progress those people were making. So we had the meeting and asked them, is your goal to really maximize your human potential? Is your goal, I just want to come in, get a good workout in, live long and prosper, and have good fun community workouts? Which goal, which kind of side of this do you sit on? And if you sit on I want to really try and maximize these results, I want to lose this weight, I want to really want to get really, really good, we think personalized is going to be a better fit for you. If you just want to come in, have a nice strength component, a little Metcon and some core work, this is fine for you. And if your budget is better for that, that's fine. But understand this is where we're going. And this is kind of the shift we're making. And the shift, when you try to do a shift like this, you can't do it like a car, trying to bang a quick 180, or everyone's going to fly off, right? This can't even be a 100-foot boat turn. This has got to be like a tanker turn, where you're going to lose everyone. Some people are going to fall off, but you got to be okay with a few, choosing to leave because they left on good terms.
Yeah.
This isn't a good fit for me. I want to do it in my home gym. This isn't a good fit for what I want. I want, everyone coming up around the whiteboard and having our discussions. I liked the way that was. I'm going to go down the street. That's okay. But if you try and jank that thing like a car, man, you're going to get bad blood all over the community of they just kicked me out because I wasn't a good fit. And I wanted to make everyone knew, no, we're still going to take care of you. We're still going to have our meetings. We're still going to make sure you're having good workouts. We're here for movement solution and to help you. But our focus is going to be on the personalized.
Yeah. And I've definitely made that mistake of making changes like far too abruptly, because from a psychological standpoint, nobody likes change. Like, actually, there's only one group of people that really likes change, and they generally fall in the entrepreneur bucket. We're just like, I like to change shit all the time. Like, I just, so, but what I've really had to take just stock in is that not everybody's like that. And some people just like the thing because that's just the way they've done it. So you have to, just like you said, that has to be a slow turn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people freak out and they're just like, I don't like change. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's the last thing I want is, especially in Delaware, such a small little state, is people leaving saying, I didn't want to coach you. It's not that I didn't want to coach you. We weren't a good fit. So everyone that left on really good terms. They're fine. They're happy. And I saw them at a local comp this weekend, and they come up and say hi and how everything's going. Congratulations on Paul and the people that are doing well. And we see you're doing great things over there. And that's great. And I'm happy that they're happy and they're still working out.
What do you have, like a rough estimate of like what the fallout was of that? Like a percentage wise, was it like 5%, 10%?
Probably 15.
But you made that up based by average client value went up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We went to, I think our average client value now is almost at like $300 a client.
That's legit.
So even though we lost this on this end with what we make up on the back end, we quadrupled what we're making.
And this is something that I don't think enough people think about. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, which is like things that give energy versus things that take energy.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you get into that realm, most of the people that you work with, probably the vast majority, give you energy because they're there, they're committed, they do what you ask, they have a good attitude about it, they work hard, and you guys get to celebrate the results together. Where, if you want to race to the bottom on price point, well, have fun down there.
Yeah, exactly. You're completely right. And then we have clients now, they're like, dude, your energy seems so much better. I'm excited to go coach again, which I've been doing this for a long time. This is all I've ever done to make money. I worked at a school system teaching a fitness class to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Then I worked at a regular gym as a personal trainer. Then I opened a CrossFit gym. So this is all I've done for the last, almost 20 years, has been in a training realm of training individuals. So for me, I don't think they realize, for me, I'm pretty much the guy that runs the majority of the groups. To coach a group at 4, and then the same thing at 5, and then the same thing at 6, and then the same. I was like draining myself, bro. Like it was like a battle for me to give any energy to the 7 o'clock. I was doing a disservice. Now
that fourth
I'm
class.
excited to be there.
Yeah, that fourth class in a row is even if you're good, like it's garbage.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what a thruster is? Like, go to town.
Everybody, don't hurt yourself. Good luck.
Exactly. Like it was a disservice to them. I felt bad about what I was providing. Now I'm very excited to be there to have you come over. Like, can you go? Yeah, let's go over that. Let's go over that again. Then I can kind of move around and dance around with each person that's doing their program, and then I can go over to the group people. Everything good with you guys? Like it's a lot more fun for me, which in turn my energy's better, and they're more excited to come in there.
That's awesome. And that's something I've really taken like a real hard look at this year, is like, what makes me happy? What doesn't make me happy?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds a little woo woo, right? Which is like, if you do what you like to do, then you'll be successful. But there is some truth to that, because but that has to be paired with like, does the thing that makes you happy, is that valuable to other people?
Yeah.
and are you good at it? Right. So
exactly.
you have to be able to check all 3 boxes. Like, is this valuable to somebody else? Does this actually make me happy? And do I happen to be good at it, or can I be good at it?
Yeah.
And then if you're like, okay, well, I found the trifecta, like I'm all in on that. Like anything that doesn't fall in this bucket, like it's out. Like I say no to it now. So I totally get where you're going with that. Don't
double down on something you suck at.
Yes.
Be sure that you're good at it before you decide to double down on it.
Yeah. Life lessons right there.
Yeah. I've done it. I've made that mistake.
Yes, I have to. I wanted to ask, so you worked in the Globo gym. Is there anything, because, we're CrossFitters, we're notorious for like shitting on Globo gyms, but there are some things that I think we could all take away from Globo gyms. Like, is there anything,
Absolutely.
there's anything that you learned that you think has kind of set you up for success that you're like, hey, CrossFit gyms would be best served by taking some of these best practices from Globo gyms and implementing them in their boxes?
Absolutely. The understanding of what accessory work actually is.
Okay, start there then. Go ahead.
The word is thrown around so much and people have no idea what actual accessory work is, because accessory work is like eating broccoli. It's boring. It doesn't taste very good, but it is so good for you. And that is the piece that CrossFitters miss. I have my online client base it's growing exponentially right now because of people going to CrossFit gyms for 2-3 years, being hurt, being tired of being hurt, and coming to me for an assessment screening and realizing you don't have a rear delt. Like, it's literally not there. And you wonder why your shoulders hurt because you're completely crowned forward. You have no hamstring. Like, you don't have these muscles, and you're wondering why you've either plateaued or your shoulder feels like shit, right? This is why. So what I was able to learn in the Globo setting, I did a book called Alpha Male Challenge with Rick Collins and James Villapeg, who wrote the Bodybuilding Bible. I worked with Stu Smith over in Annapolis for a couple of years.
Yep.
My ability to work with those guys, Mike Jenkins, one of the world's strongest man competitors that passed away a few years ago. Yep. Fred Small is a bodybuilder. So I've been able to work with a lot of these different guys in terms of mentoring and then my time in a regular Globo gym to understand what true accessory work is to make you better and not hurt when you're doing things. So that's the biggest thing that a dip is not accessory work. Your tricep by itself is accessory work.
That's interesting that you bring that up. So we'll have a little bit of blend of some of those things, but yeah. So from a practical standpoint, and you could probably attest to this, but one of the things that we get tons of questions about, like in the mentor, and this actually came up in our mentor group call yesterday, where we were talking to a bunch of coaches, which was, hey, I've got these athletes that want to do all this extra stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, like how do I get rid of that? And what we found, and this was actually at the behest of my head coach now, Cassidy, who works on seminar staff with me, he was like, hey, let's just start writing accessory programming every day. Yeah. And like you said, the accessory programming, if you look at it, like, it is not cool looking.
No, it's terrible looking.
Like, it's a lot of unilateral work. It's a lot of tempo compound movements that are light loading. There are a lot of like static holds, a lot of midline work, a lot of stuff like that. Things that people have kind of, CrossFitters don't really have they don't really have a good palate for it.
Yeah.
And if they do just a little bit of it, I mean, virtually nobody in our gym does all of it because they're like, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
So I'm good. And it is virtually limited almost all of the need for people who want to do like extra programming.
Yeah. It's just the broccoli section. That's really what it is. It's just going to eat a plate of broccoli. And our masters guys have days that are literally just broccoli days. And they have to be okay with that.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I've actually been considering throwing that in for myself personally because I just, I'm not old by any means, but I just don't have the desire to go super high intensity every day anymore.
No,
like, I just mentally don't want to go there. Like, I can do it, but I just don't want to. I'm like, that is going to hurt. It's going to put me down for 2 days.
Yeah.
And what we found, a lot of people just like, a lot of it is like old school bodybuilding stuff, tri-spies.
Yeah.
Dumbbell presses from a seated position, like all these things that nobody's going to post on Instagram.
Absolutely. I'm going to post me on floor rear delts laying on my side, just rear delting it for 5 sets of 20. On the other side, 5 sets of 20. The newspaper came in to do the article on Paul after winning the games, and they come in to take his pictures, and he's over there on the bench doing rear delts. And I'm like, that's the picture you're going to get.
That's the program. He's not
goodest man in the world, just rear delting it.
That's amazing.
And they ended up using that picture as the top of the articles.
World's fittest man. He's got like it's a shake weight.
It was like a 3-pound weight doing rear delts.
Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, like that is I'm glad you brought that up because that's something we found to be very effective, and we probably need to retool it because it's never perfect, but it has eliminated that kind of everybody wants to come in and do their own thing. And then
Yes.
everybody's on board with the program. And then similar to what you do, when people do sit down with us and we ask that question and we say, what is your issue? Like, and they're like, I don't have X. I'm struggling with this. My first question is not nutrition, but it probably should be, is, are you doing the accessory work?
Yeah. And there used to be days where they probably come in and like only do the accessory work for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks even.
Yeah. And the answer is almost always no. And I said, this is a really short conversation. Start doing that. Like, it's there. You're just not doing it.
Yeah. Make that your priority. If you're struggling overhead, maybe maybe the rear delt, shoulder, posture work is what you should be focusing on, and not going over to try and max your strict press again.
Yeah. But again, it's not sexy, but I do think once you get people to buy into it, they actually find more value in it. Like,
the best source you can get when you get them to buy into it is the body composition compliment they'll get. That's when you get them to buy into it completely. Like, I have a lot of guys who get like monthly massages, and they'll come in after, I'm like, let's just do accessory work, and we're going to focus on accessories for a month. And then they come back and they're like, man, my massage lady was like, dude, what happened to your upper back? Your shoulders are a lot more round. Or I went to the beach and people were complimenting on how good my core looked. Now I'm like, now they just want to do accessory work.
Yeah. You're like, you should do some compound movements too there.
Yeah, let's go. Let's not just do bodybuilding now. Let's go do some cleans too.
So now, when did you start making the shift to online programming?
So, I was 2015.
Okay.
So it was my last year of not going to regionals anymore. And another local guy that lived in Delaware messaged me. I was like, you've made it. I keep just missing it. Can you coach me? And I'd never done anything online before. And I'm like, sure, let's go for it, man.
Yeah.
So he was my very first one. And then he made regionals that year, made regionals every year after that, has made Wadapalooza. And kind of, he was the start of it. And then from there, it kind of was just a trickle effect. Somebody finally found out that I was coaching him, kind of your social media thing. Then another person reached out, and another person reached out. And then it kind of just kind of snowballing effect into where we're able to do online very effectively. I ended up spreading to where I got outside of the state, because another guy who owned a CrossFit gym in California, was a Border Patrol agent, reached out. Was like, hey, I know you're coaching people online now. My box is kind of all over the place. Can you help program me so I can learn some things? So I ended up programming him, got him rolling. Then his partner from the gym started reaching out, then other gyms. So I started programming for a couple of different boxes. And then as I programmed for those boxes, when the box was like, oh, we're good now, they peeled back to wanting to do their own programming again. People from those gyms were like, I want to do online now. Like, I like the way you were programming it before. So it's going to spread kind of organically that way. And the guy actually that was out in California as the Border Patrol agent, he ended up reaching back out a couple years ago for me to program for him to go through a ORTAC school. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So he reached out. I trained him through that, and now I still train him then now through bodybuilding shows. So it's kind of kept reaching out in different capacities.
So what does that look like? So I know some people are, who are listening to this are like, okay, well, what is online? I just get a program and I do the workouts and then I pay for this monthly, but it sounds like you are doing a lot more than just writing a program.
Yeah. If you're gonna go into online and expect it to work, don't watch the Instagram dude that's like, your profit does this and you don't have to work. Like, it's a joke. Like, if you're going to do online and do it right, you better set aside some time, man, to like do it properly and be okay with people messaging you. What the heck is this movement? What am I trying to do for that? You got to be really good at communicating online. Be really good at explaining, like, this is the dose response I want from this workout. You better set aside time for these, bi-weekly calls to make sure the person's doing it right. Because when I first started this, I'd send a workout and then they'd send me the results. I'm like, oh, what did you do? Like, that's not anything close to what I wanted this workout to be like. I want this workout to be like sustainable. Like, your first round was 4 minutes, your second round was 9 minutes. So you better set aside time to make sure you're touching those people just as if they were in the gym. If you think you can just send a monthly workout and be like, all right, there's $265 in my bank account, I'll talk to them next week, it isn't going to work for you.
So that frequency, and we talked about it a little before we hit record, is about 2 weeks, right? So you're sitting down, and then how long is that phone call?
So the phone calls are 20 minutes bi-weekly. So we talk about what you did the week before, and we talk about the week coming ahead. Like, so what's programmed ahead of you. So what you're going to be looking into, what we're looking for you to get the right responses, the roadblocks that they might be running into, things that they might feel. We talk about whatever their food is. And then every night I talk to them through social media, through True Coach, through their app. I reply to their workouts, or they video movements for me, depending on what our goal are. You know, if somebody wants to improve deadlifting without hurting their back, I'm going to say, I want you to video every deadlift and upload it to True Coach so I can see how you're moving.
Got it.
So we get a lot of back and forth daily, even with those people. So you better set aside, 2 hours a night to be able to sit at your computer and write back and forth to these people to make sure that they're squared away. And like my little boy, he always tells me, make sure it used to be called Fitbot, now it's True Coach. But he's like, make sure you get all your Fitbot work done before we play, Dada. Because I'm like, all right, I got to stay up late, or I got to get up early to make sure that's done, so that I have the time to go play with him and spend time with him. So
that is actually my next question from a personal boundaries standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. So if this sounds amazing, and everybody's like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, yeah. Well, listen, you can become a slave to this just like anything else. What kind of boundaries do you like? Clearly, you were at the beach earlier today, so there you've gotten better at that. But what do you have in place as far as like, I work here and I don't work here, or this is when I'm responding, or this is when I'm not responding? Yeah,
it's very hard, and it's going to be ones where people push that, and you have to be okay with going like, dude, you can't do that. Like, I have guys that'll message me on like Sunday night at 7:30. Tomorrow for the Prowler, what weight should I put on it? Like, dude, you're messaging me that at 7:30 at night on a Sunday. So during those bi-weekly meetings, and at the very start of this, you kind of have to be willing to lay out the rules of engagement of, this is how it's going to work. I want you to read ahead for the whole week. These are the workouts you have. Compose all your questions of that week and text it to me, or send it to me on True Coach, so that I'm not getting a question Monday, a question Tuesday, a question Wednesday. And that's the key to doing this, because when I first started, I did not do that. And my frustration level was like skyrocketing. Because I'm like, dude, why is this person messaging me again? I'm like, they're paying you. And then I was finally talking to my coach, she's like, we need to set aside, like, these are the hours you'll reply. Send all the messages at one time. So it's been kind of a tug of war figuring that out as we go. But we're finally starting to get into a really good place where everyone kind of understands how it works. That we expect, promptness on the phone calls. We expect you to read your whole week ahead of time, send me all the questions at once. So the part of me is I have to be sure I'm on task and making sure they're staying out at least 2 weeks ahead, so we can talk about what's coming in terms of the programming, right? I can't be lazy and be like, only program 2 days for them and be like, I'll get it to it later. I got to make sure I'm setting aside time to keep sure that they're on track and we have something to discuss.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that I always, and I've been guilty of this on so many levels, is just like not setting those boundaries where, where it's just like, hey, listen, don't message me on my personal social media about business. Like, if you have questions, send it to the business and I'll get to it when is appropriate. Because I feel like we all have that we feel this need to respond immediately. And Tim Ferriss talks about this in the 4-Hour Workweek. He's like, you do not have to respond. It's not an emergency.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, he's like, nobody's ever sent an emergency text. It's not. He's like, if it's an emergency, they will call you. So you do not have to respond. And the reality is, like, most people, they don't actually expect you to respond immediately. Like, we just have that expectation on ourselves to respond immediately. And then now we've set the expectation. Like, they didn't expect us to respond immediately. They're like, hey, you could have responded to that during the normal work hours, and that would have been fine. But the second I respond at 9 p.m. on a Sunday, they're just like, oh, well, then I can just text them whenever.
Exactly. It's definitely one finger pointing out and 4 fingers pointing back at you on it.
Cool. That's super cool, dude. So for what would be your guidance for anybody who's considering making a little bit of that shift from traditional, primarily group classes to start working a little bit more personalized CrossFit training? Because it sounds like you have like a nice little blend of, you still have group classes, but the vast majority of the people you work with are doing something that you've designed specifically for them.
Yes. My suggestion is, starting it out, for anyone who's looking at doing that, is pick a few people to start. Don't try to do the abrupt turn. find a few people that you know might have goals that kind of exceed what you're capable of serving within a group class, and kind of talk to them individually. Hey, would you be willing to do, this is what I can offer, this, and this. This is what it would cost. Is that something you'd be interested in? Sit down and have a conversation with those people. Because what we ended up having is we had, I think, 6 people that were doing personalized, and we ended up growing out of that because one of them was a Paul who came in, and I mean, he exponentially got better because he never did group. He just came in and did personalized. And his wife had been doing group for 5 years. I was like, dude, I'm still only doing like sets of 8 pull-ups. And Paul came in, he's crushing it. So like, well, do you want to switch over to doing what Paul's doing? And she went from like, she's 400th in her age group to switch to personalized, and she was 23rd or 24th within that year period, and went from doing sets of 4 to 8 pull-ups to doing sets of 25 pull-ups, because we were able to go and like, hey, let's dial this part of your back end because you're stronger. You have an engine. Let's like kind of focusing more on strength. So kind of picking those people that you think might have a goal to kind of go to that next level. Like she wanted to try to make the top 50 or the top 200. She had those goals. So talk to people like that and then kind of weave them in, and then it'll kind of start to spread, and you can see if you're good at it or not, right?
That's always like the last little piece is like, are you good at programming and coaching people? Because that's an art, right? That's an art that comes, and programming, in my opinion, is only an art. You only become an artist after you've first been a scientist.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you have to be a nerd first, and then you can take all of that information and you can start to paint the canvas with it. But I think a lot of people where they just immediately go to be an artist, and they're like, oh, I'm going to put all these things together. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of problems with that you are just like, not because you're doing it poorly on purpose, but because you're just ignorant in how some of this works.
Yes. Study, learn, get mentors, read books.
On that note,
more seminars, right? Go to more seminars. Like if you're not going to at least 2 seminars a year, don't even waste your time trying to do personalized and really expect to get good at programming. You need to go learning from people. Like
I just started reading, I think it's the Fundamentals of Periodization again. And I was like, God, there's just so many things I forgot about that. Like, it's just like, and so this is where some people, they get real hard on the like GPP doesn't work, and I'm like, calm down, like but like there's a huge population of people that don't want personal training, can't afford it, love to be in group classes. The challenge is like figuring out how to serve both populations if that's what you want to do, or making the decision that I'm going to go all in on only writing personal programs, or I'm just going to stick with group classes. But just like you and I were rapping with before, like the point is to impact people. So figure out how you can do that the best way, whether it's doing one or the other, or whether it's doing both. You can do it. It's just a lot of work.
It is. It's way more work than being able to think of one good workout for the week or one good workout for the day, go in, touch a lot of people, make sure they're moving well, and roll out. It's a lot more time consuming.
But
GPP works. I mean, when people say that, that's just true ignorance of what our end goal is. Because we look at the big spectrum of like a -10 to a 10. -10 being, morbidly obese. I cannot move. I physically can't do anything. 10 being, Matt Frazier, CrossFit Games winner, can do anything you ask him to do. GPP is going to take you from any of those negative numbers at least to 0 to maybe a +2, +4. You're going to feel pretty friggin' awesome. Now, if you want to go from a +5 to 10, you better go personalized. You better dial in food. But GPP will get you to feel awesome, feeling really good, living a better life, having pretty solid blood work, sleeping well, being sexually active. It's going to make you feel really darn good. So to say like GPP doesn't work, that's just silly talk.
Yeah, I just think those are the chronic CrossFit haters that they're just ignoring reality, which is like, I think we could all agree that like, would it be best if everybody was on their own program? 100%, but that's not real life. So
not real life.
And I think you can get as close to 5, even maybe 6 on GPP if you write intelligent programming.
Yes.
If you're writing programming that has good variance, that has accessory work written into it, that is not just based on volume.
Yes.
I think you can push people to potentially a 6, but I do agree with you. If I'm going to go from 6 to 10, that involves somebody who's going to come in, assess your movement, assess your weaknesses.
Yes.
We're going to have to write some degree of biased programming for a while to fill the gaps in whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Very cool, dude. Well, listen, bro, this has been awesome. I feel smarter, and I'm sure the listeners do too. But I wanted to talk to you because obviously you've been working with some masters athletes, and I thought the piece about, you know, frequency, intensity, and volume and all that stuff is super important for people to look at, not just from a master standpoint, but from like just a general programming standpoint.
Absolutely.
And then I really wanted to pick your brain again, just personally on the individualized stuff, because I think that's really cool. And again, if we're trying to make this the best hour of people's day, we gotta provide a good product. We got to put in the work, and we got to make sure they stay happy. So last question, any books that you recommend to people that you either mentor or work with or something? It doesn't even have to be fitness related, just in general.
Oh, in general.
I know you're a reader. That's why I asked.
Yeah. If I had to pick one book for people to be, it would be Wild at Heart by John Eldridge.
Okay.
Wild at Heart. That would be my book.
I like it. Very cool. Where can people find you, man, social media wise, if they're interested in personalized programming or anything like that?
Forever Hungry Athletics. Forever Hungry _ Athletics is our handle.
Got it. Very cool, dude. Awesome, bro. Listen, thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions for JD about anything, about stuff that he's done, go find him. If you need us to find him, we will take care of it. I've known JD for a long time, sharp dude, and always enjoy the chat, brother.
Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yep.